Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Babbling Irons player breakdown with myself, Mike, and Sloth today. This is a player we did a video. Well, I mean, we've been linked with him for about 4 years now. Is obviously En-Nesyri of Sevilla, the striker. It was looked like he was kind of one of the top targets last summer, coming back around again. We did a video back in August on him. So now we're giving an update based on him this season, where he's actually done very well from a goal scoring perspective. He scored 18 goals in all comps. He got 16 goals in the La Liga from 33 appearances. So he's a goal scoring striker. And when we were looking at kind of the stats and stuff, he's still quite low down in terms of the goals percentage, just because of how good strikers have been this season across Europe. There's been some really high figures across the board, but yeah, 16 goals from 33 appearances in La Liga is a pretty good return for a Sevilla side that struggled, to be honest. They finished 14th in La Liga this season, which is, I mean, they've struggled for a couple of seasons now. But yeah, this was coming out saying that around a £30 million bid for En-Nesyri would be accepted, according to the Football Insider. So 26 years old, turning 27 in literally a few days. He's got 1 year left on his contract. Let's talk about his footballing ability first before we get on to like how we would want the transfer to happen, how much we'd be willing to pay, because he's actually had a pretty good season. And, it's a striker that Lopetegui's worked with in the past as well.
Yeah, go on, Sloth. You can kick this one off.
I think it's the type of player that we consistently have lacked at West Ham. It's someone who's not just a wrecking ball. It's someone who's also quite quick and agile and is a competent finisher in front of goal. This is someone who's excellent in the air, good with their feet, but also can link up with others. And when you are, as we've seen, so sort of counter-attack focused, or have been under Moyes, then having a focal point who can link up with others, create space and drag defenders over in the way that En-Nesyri does is so valuable. And I think that it's been so long since we've had a clinical striker, and don't mean that with any disrespect to Antonio, but someone who can consistently get double figures and above, sort of 15 goals.
Has to be 15 minimum now, doesn't it, really? If we're relying on Bowen to go 15 plus, we need your striker to be doing that.
Exactly. And I think it completely changes the dynamic of your team. If you've got an outlet who is going to be in and around the 6-yard box, for someone like Kudus and Bowen, they know they can just punt a ball upwards, and that striker will be around that area 9 times out of 10. You can bank on him to hit the target. So I think he's a really valuable asset to any side that he goes to, but it's also the physicality that I think he brings to the role that we've lacked in terms of Scamacca and Allaire as well. So it's the sort of signing that I think would do us very, very well.
What do you think, Mike? Because obviously we were looking at the statistics from kind of the last season and comparing him with other forwards in, the top 5 leagues across Europe. And it doesn't look great from this kind of visual, a lot of red here. So just talk me through this image and why some of it is slightly skewed as well.
Yeah, so Sevilla, as we said, haven't been the Sevilla team that maybe some may remember. Certainly not the same team that Lopetegui kind of had and brought forward. I think last year they finished 12th. This current season that's finished 14th. Obviously, with Lopetegui, they were finishing 4th 2 of the 3 seasons. Obviously, he was let go early in his 3rd season, where they managed to rally and come back to 4th. But he's that kind of player that is tireless. Like we talked about Antonio, he will chase down lost causes. He's not vastly involved in build-up play, as you can see from this year. When you talk about progressive passes, essentially he's not in a position where he's playing, passes over a large distance in which to progress play towards goal, which is why the progressive passes is so incredibly low. But what he has been this year is a very effective box player, and as you can see on those defensive stats as well, he's very much involved in by chasing and harrying, intercepting play, clearances, so he's a real good use bringing him back to defend your area, to set pieces and so on because of his height, etc. And the aerial duels, again, he's incredibly good in the air. For someone so slight, you wouldn't think that maybe he has as much strength as he does, particularly in the air, which he does. A variety of his goals will be, left foot, right, and a header. He will score you headed goals from crosses. He's very good at finding that space. The thing is with En-Nesyri, he also gives you that flexibility because he has and can play in left wing. So Sloth is someone who's followed En-Nesyri for a long time. So when he was came into Spanish football at Malaga and Leganés, tended to play more as a left winger. His first season at Sevilla and second season quite a lot again at left wing. He kind of started to drift inside to be more of a centre forward in the second season under Lopetegui. That was his first season scoring double digits for in his career and obviously for Sevilla. And last year was the only other time he's hit double figures in a season. Again, some of that is because he did have quite a downturn the season after. His third season would have been under Lopetegui, or the half season he was there. I think he only got about 9 goals, if that. Really struggled all season. I think it even took until January to get his first goal. He massively struggled.
He got 5 goals in La Liga that season and only 23 appearances as well.
Yeah, he had injury problems as well, so there were mitigating circumstances within that. This year, obviously, done far better, 16 goals in the league. Only one of those is as a penalty. So again, it does show that despite him being in a team that has vastly struggled this year, he has been one of the kind of the shining lights within that team, and he will suit Lopetegui because one of the things that Lopy talks about is he needs players that play with energy and he needs players that play with passion, and En-Nesyri will bring those two qualities. He can be rough around the edges and still really quite raw, bit Darwin Núñez, you could say, in some of his kind of touches and his decisions.
Bit Mikel Antonio.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's also why he's not been picked up from other big teams as well, because he has those elements and those moments where he's just not refined enough. He has been linked to big teams in the past. I'm pretty sure he was also linked to Chelsea a couple of seasons ago. But he lacks that refinement at the real top level to really go there. But for a team like us, you overlook those because of the other things that he brings you, such as that ability to work hard, to chase down those causes. I think also because he's worked with Lopetegui before, they've already got that connection. Lopetegui knows how he would want to utilize him. And, as you mentioned, with the likes of Kudus and Bohm, if he is to come in and be that centre forward role, he scored 18 goals in 2021 season under Lopetegui, that's just league goals, which is a very good return in the La Liga. So, yeah, I think it would be a smart move, because if it's someone Lopetegui's worked with before and likes, then it's kind of a no-brainer that he knows how to get the best out of him. And I think it would be a player that we need, as you mentioned at the beginning, stuff. We need someone that's going to consistently be hitting 15 plus goals as a striker. We haven't had that for so long. When was the last time we had a striker we could depend on being a goal scorer? It was very, very a long time ago, right? So, yeah, I think it would be an interesting move. But yeah, as the sources were saying, around 30 million for a player who's just about to turn 27, has 1 year left on his contract. How much are we realistically going to pay for this deal? Like, what would you guys be happy with?
20 million?
Yeah, first off, saying this 30 million is absolutely unrealistic. He was 30 million 2 seasons ago.
Do you think so, for someone that scored almost 20 goals in a league and he's still coming into his prime?
Figures in 2 seasons. And the 2 seasons prior, he'd only scored 5 and I believe 9.
Yeah.
And this year he's doubled it. So you could argue that he has a level of inconsistency. Now, you could also say that, well, maybe that's Sevilla, them struggling and haven't created enough chances for him. But he has also been wasteful in those years. This year, I think he's massively overachieved on his XG. So I know people just start like, oh, XG is rubbish. And in some ways it is, but it also does show when a player is potentially overachieving in some respects. You can dig deeper into it because it may be actually that they're incredibly efficient in putting the ball in the net from certain positions and in certain places of the goal. where they're incredibly efficient. But it does show that he's either been incredibly efficient this year, because I think his XG should have been about 10 or 11 goals. So he'd either been incredibly efficient, or there's been a level of luck in some of those opportunities as well. So sometimes you have to look at that and go, there maybe is something in that. If you look at someone like Darwin Núñez, it's a prime example of someone who may score a fair few goals, but he will also be incredibly profligate and wasteful.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to sometimes then look when that player in another season is very efficient, as to, is that because of they've actually improved and they actually are taking those opportunities, really hard opportunities, and scoring them, or is there an element of, you know, goalkeeper error and so on and so forth? There's other
This is how he compared to obviously the one of the top, maybe even the top goal scorer in La Liga this season, with Dovbyk of Girona. So yeah, you can kind of see here the difference, as you mentioned. Yeah, you know, passes to box, expected assists, all that kind of stuff. He's a lot lower. You know, offensive actions, he's actually quite low in terms of the percentiles there. So it kind of really does back up your point, Mike, of, you know, he has been a box player. You know, he's been someone that's been scoring a lot of goals. And, you know, you can see kind of the XG there, how low it is in comparison to someone like Dovbyk. Like, he's just been taking a lot more chances, and En-Nesyri's been very clinical with his chances. So that's interesting. Is that someone we really want to be, you know, leading the line for us next season in a transition season where, you know, it's going to be imperative that we, you know, kind of hit the ground running, because we have no Europe now. We've got a massive rebuild. Can we really afford to bring in someone that's just turning 27 and arguably might take 2 or 3 seasons to adapt and get up to goal scoring form? Can we afford to do that at this stage?
I think in terms of an individual, I think the fact that he knows Lopetegui and he will know how he wants to play, how he should play under Lopetegui, I think that's massive for us. Obviously, if we're paying 17 to 20 million pounds, I think it's a no-brainer. The only deal that kind of comes close to it, in my opinion, is the Guirassy deal. And I think that they're both quite similar types of strikers. Guirassy is a lot more clinical, but I think En-Nesyri gives you that bit more physicality, and even though Guirassy's a big physical unit, I think he's just that bit more proven. And I know we're talking about inconsistencies. They've both had periods of time where they've been injured. But I think in terms of the risk in a deal, I think this is not low risk, but it's something that I'd feel very confident about him coming in and at least getting 10 goals.
Would you guys be happy with? Would you be happy if En-Nesyri is leading the line and we have Antonio as our backup next season going into the season?
I see it as a bit of a shuffling the decks kind of deal, in that he's someone who can play left wing, centre forward, can also play right wing if we need to. I think there's maybe a slight concern that maybe Antonio might get an offer from, say, Saudi that he deems too good to refuse, and that we want then to have a experienced centre forward.
Danny Ings, mate. We got Danny Ings.
Yeah, well, we know that one's going. So there's not even joking, count that one in. So I think he maybe would want a more experienced head, and also it's someone that he knows and trusts. So
yeah,
if we're looking at En-Nesyri, you would say, I say En-Nesyri, I think you said En-Nesyri, then you would argue that it's a deal that makes sense, because he knows the manager, knows his systems, fits the type of profile that he likes in a player, and that should help assimilate him into West Ham a lot quicker. Obviously, he'll have to get used to the league, but I think he also proved against us in those 2 legs. Sevilla, he was one of their better players.
Tough to deal with.
Yeah, and I know some people was like, "Oh, he's cheating in the home game." I thought it was brilliant centre forward play, because he earned foul after foul after foul, because he knew how to use his frame and to earn fouls, and cheap ones as well. And I think that's something, when you look at a team that maybe also has been strong at set pieces and likes to earn set pieces, having a centre forward who is able to earn those cheap and easy fouls, something that we don't necessarily get enough of with Mikel Antonio because of his frame. Yeah. Someone like an En-Nesyri is more likely going to earn us those moments, those kind of respite moments, because he can earn, and he's very smart and intelligent in how to earn those fouls. I do have some reservations around him, but I do think that's mainly because we're looking at our squad age as well, and we need to kind of try and bring that down. So we do maybe want to. My preference would be for maybe go and find a younger centre forward. However, finding young centre forwards who can consistently score 15, 20 goals is very difficult. And if they are around, they are going to be 50, 60 million pounds minimum, and being drawing interest from the big clubs in Europe. So
that's what it is, isn't it? We've got a massive. It's not like we can target 2 or 3 positions to improve on this summer. We need some. I think we're going to need to balance it. Like you say, players that Lopetegui knows already is a benefit. It's a plus. You know, someone he knows that he can get 18 goals out of in a season is a massive coup. So out of 10 as a transfer, say we pulled it off for, let's say, 20 million max, 20 million pounds, En-Nesyri signs this summer. What are we rating that out of 10 as a transfer?
I'd say 7, because I can't go higher because of our squad age. And I think unless we're bringing in a younger centre forward that has great potential, like maybe Samu as an example for Atletico, who was on loan from Atletico Madrid last year. So unless we went for someone like that as well to bring in as a kind of understudy, shall we say, I don't think I could go higher. If we did that, then I'd say, that's probably about an 8 or a 9 deal, because that means you can bring in this young player that you can blood and bring in slowly, and you've got this player that is going to be dependable and can play multiple positions. But unless we're bringing that younger player, I can't go higher than 7.
Sloth, what about you?
I'm gonna counteract Mike. I'm gonna go 8 or 9. I think that for 20 million pounds potentially, I think it's a really good deal. He is someone who the manager will know the game style of and know how he thrives. I think with players like Bowen and Kudus around, you know, potentially the chances he'll get are going to be far greater than the recent Sevilla sides that he's been in. And I think we're talking about a 27-year-old. He's not 31. He's not. And I know we constantly look for players who are younger, but I think if you're leading the line with someone like En-Nesyri, and then you've got the option to bring on, say, Antonio, or if he stays, and another young forward, I think that's something we've not had in years. You know. Yeah. It's I'd give it an 8 or a 9. I think it's also an interesting little caveat that last summer he apparently didn't want to join us, didn't want to move to England, and now we've got Lopetegui. I think, you know, suddenly it's a bit more of positive messages coming from his camp. So I think that's quite interesting as well.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'd probably go similar, like 7-ish, to be honest. I think it's as you mentioned, it is reducing the age of the squad because our strikers are 34 and 31, so it's definitely an improvement. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with this. I think it's been a player we've been linked with for as we mentioned, 4 years now. So if that's Lopetegui's man, then we should be backing him and going all out to try and make it happen for around 20 million. So. Yeah, let us know in the comments what you think about En-Nesyri. Would you be happy with the move? Would you be looking elsewhere if you could? And yeah, make sure to leave a comment down below. Leave a like on the video as always, and subscribe to the channel for future content. And lads, until next time.
Come on, you irons.